Strength training for youth basketball. I'm here to tell you one of three things. Number one, what it is. Number two, what people get wrong about it. Number three, what it is that you're dealing with now and why it's necessary for the issues you're going through or will go through. Let's check it out. Coach White here, SFBA Sports Performance, and here I want to go through three things. I've gone back and forth with this episode because I can go a lot into it. I can go deep into it, and I don't want to spend that much time talking about this. I want to treat this as an intro episode, and I'm going to break down the episodes even more to specifics as I go forward, and I think this is going to be kind of like a longer conversation. So I just want to hit the three parts and kind of keep this hopefully not as long as the other episodes. Number one, what is strength training? Number two, what are some of the misconceptions? I hear people have a lot about it. And number three, if you're dealing with certain injuries or pain or ailments, I'm going to tell you why you are and why strength training is going to be the answer for you, or what you will face if you don't get into it. So number one, what is strength training? Strength training for youth basketball is a tool to help lessen the occurrences of injuries. It can't prevent them. There's no such thing as injury prevention, although it is a term you do hear a lot, and it is a term that people use. But injury prevention is not something that we can realistically do. We can do things to limit the chances of you getting injured. And if you do get injured, hopefully build a resilient body that can return to play from that injury sooner than if you didn't do strength training. Number two, the second part of that is it's strength training. We're here to make you a better athlete, someone that is stronger, quicker, faster, more explosive, all that stuff. Everything that you want to be in an athlete, that's what it's meant to help you do. When we strength train, it's not bodybuilding. It's not trying to just make your muscles bigger. If you're trying to do that, then you're equating it to like bodybuilding, which is a different sport in itself. The demands of that are different. You're more focused on your aesthetics, how the body looks versus how it performs. And when we're working with athletes, I think a lot of people tend to confuse the two. They think they're the same thing just because you're picking up weights. It's for the same purpose, and it's not. When we're doing things for basketball development, they're, number one, meant to support the body's ability to handle the workload that kids are being put under. And number two, to help that athlete become a better athlete. I can't tell you the amount of kids that I look at and I'm like, wow, that kid is slow. That kid lacks a lot of speed. And I'm looking at them, and then in my window, I'm looking at certain aspects of how they move and what their body can and can't do. Such as like ankle stiffness or lack thereof, which leads to poor running ability, lack of hip flexion, which leads to poor running ability. I'm seeing athletes with hamstring issues, and by looking at their movements, I'm like, I already can tell that that's a problem. When athletes land on a single leg and they collapse, I'm seeing that there's a lack of strength and coordination for landing mechanics, which should be the number one thing we're going for. When typically we're doing strength training, there's a few things that we're focusing on. Number one, isometrics. Can I hold a posture that I want to be in? Number two, eccentrics. Can I load that movement slowly and coordinated, such as like I'm doing a squat? Am I able to go down slowly, or like a push-up and control that? And then can I also apply that from the concentric phase when I'm pushing, going back up into a push-up, or raising up from the squat position and bringing it back to where I start from? And these are things that we focus on when we do strength training. A lot of times we're looking at isometric work. Can we just get athletes to master a certain posture first? If I can trust their movements and they've been here for a while and I understand what they can do, then we'll do some eccentric work. But if we're talking about like getting more explosive and power, the concentric phase is where you got to go. Where we're actually jumping or we're moving upwards or being explosive on a push. And these are all things that you just build as an athlete gets stronger within that process. But strength training is something that I think a lot of people miss. You're playing a sport against other athletes, but you're not doing the thing that can help you become a better athlete. Basketball, there's a lot of skill involved in decision making, and if you're not doing things to help elevate how your body performs, you're missing out on the chance to elevate how your body plays when it's on the court. And if you're not going to do that, you're going to find it really frustrating as your athlete gets older and they start playing against better, quicker, faster athletes that are now able to perform things in a way that your kid can't, because physically your kid is not on that level. And when you play things like AU basketball, you see a difference. This kid has a quicker first step. Your kid is not able to decelerate and change directions to guard somebody. This kid is more explosive and able to handle the contact you're giving and is able to push against your contact because you can't provide some stability from the lower body to maintain a good base. If you do a spin move, you find yourself tripping over yourself versus being coordinated on rotational movements. When you're moving side to side, your ankles, are basically like snapping back and forth because you lack the muscles and the coordination necessary to handle lateral forces so that you don't roll your ankle. Like, these are all parts that go into it. And so if your kid isn't strength training, I want to say I know, but I'll say I think, because again, everything's an opinion. I think you're really ruining your kid's chances to play at their best and to perform the way that you expect them to on game day. And if you're not going to do it consistently enough, and it's going to be kind of a random, it's like you eat a salad once every 3 weeks, and the rest of the time you just eat burgers. Like, that salad once every 3 weeks, that's not helping you. And if you're really committed to getting better, you have to kind of generate some level of consistency and find some value in that part. And if you don't, I see a lot of people all the time, and I'm just like, yeah, your kid's not going to be where you want them to be. They're always going to be behind. They might be good enough against some players, but against the best ones, they'll always be in the back of the bus. So I really think that's something that people should be looking at more so. Misconceptions, number 2. Let me get past that. Misconceptions for strength training. Number 1, it will not make your kid short. I don't know where this rumor came from, who started it. I feel like I can pinpoint specific parents that would think this in my mind through my almost 20 years of coaching. But I can't tell you how many people have come up to me and either said with every belief in their brain, in their soul, that they don't want their kids strength training because it's going to make them short. Or people that believed that it might do that and would ask, I don't know if I should do this because, I want my kid to get taller and, I don't want him to be short. Look, here's the thing. If your kid's going to be short, he's going to be short. That's just the way it goes. Your genetics are just your genetics. You could have that one kid that just gets lucky and then the rest or whatever. But, that's not something. And then again, how would you know how tall they were going to be anyways? If your kid starts strength training and end up being 5'5", you're like, no, I have definitive proof they would have been 6'8". No, you don't have that. You don't know that. I think part of the issue comes with growth plate injuries. Like, if somebody were to do something and then break a leg, you can do that playing soccer. Somebody kicks you in the shin, you break your leg at the growth plate, and now you got some issues, right? Whether it's in your arms or your legs. But if you're doing strength training, here's the benefit. It can help to increase your bone density. It can make stronger bones. It can help make stronger muscles, obviously. It can make a more resilient athlete. And especially if your kid's not going to be on the taller side. You don't want to be shorter and then not as strong. You think of guys that played in the NBA, like a Muggsy Bogues. Guy was really strong. Looking at him compared to NBA players, obviously there's a big difference in height. But physically, he was strong. You look at guys like a Chris Paul in the NBA. Guy's strong. He's strong. There's not anything in his game that's weak. He may not be the tallest guy out there, but he's strong. Steph Curry, that guy is strong. His deadlift, I forgot what the number was, but it is beyond normal people's capabilities. He looks like an average person in the NBA when you're watching him compared to other NBA players, but to the rest of us, the guy looks like, he's just on a different level. He's not like the rest of us. He's better, faster. He's stronger. But that's where I think a lot of people miss it. And that was the area of focus that he needed to get into. He was getting injured early in his career. He was getting, a lot of contact and pushed and shoved and fouled, when he was playing in that series against the Clippers that one year. And it exposed parts of his game. And then what did he do? He got in the weight room. And that's where I think a lot of families are looking for questions. I want my kid to be more confident. Well, number one, your kid's not coordinated. Your kid's not strong enough to handle these movements. Your kid can't apply enough force to just dribble the ball with enough speed and power. Your kid can't accelerate, quickly to get to the rim. They're just being caught by the defender every single time. They can't change directions, moving laterally side to side. They can't recover in space. All these things that are physical qualities that you think are just a matter of my kid just needs to work harder. They need a trainer to teach him how to play defense. I could take a guy off the street that's just stronger and more coordinated. If I put him into a basketball game and just tell him what to do, he could probably stay in front of somebody. Right? But I think we think of this backwards, and we tend to blame kids for their effort when it's really just the lack of physical abilities. And number two, it's the fact that we don't actually put time into it. So strength training is not going to make your kids short. It is not going to ruin your kid's ability to be taller or increase in height, or decrease their height. Strength training will not do that. There's no reputable study that is out there anywhere that's going to tell you or anybody else that strength training is dangerous because it's going to make your kid short. Here's what it can do on the downside. If not done properly, strength training can hurt. Just like playing basketball the wrong way. If you play sloppy, all over the place basketball, like those guys at LA Fitness or 24 that just want to go out there and crash out all day, yeah, someone's going to get hurt. The same thing as strength training. If done properly and you are able to evaluate athletes, check for proper posture and movement quality, make sure they're not lifting beyond what they're supposed to. It's appropriate amount of weight and load that they're lifting. I have no problem with strength training, and there's no issue with it. If done improper, like anything else, yes, they can get hurt. You're lifting weights, you're lifting things that are heavy. You want to make sure that you understand the capabilities of your athletes first before you start putting them in a strength training program. But if you're going to think that strength training is going to be the thing that's going to limit their ability to become bigger, then I can't tell you how wrong you are. Like, I don't have enough words to explain how incorrect that is. And when you keep saying that and telling other people that, how much of a disservice you're doing to other families that would have considered this, but stopped considering it because they heard you say that it's going to make their kids short and then believed you. Like, that's a problem. That's a problem. So, yeah, that's not going to happen. Strength training will not make your kid short. It will not limit their chances to be tall. If your kid's tall, he's going to be tall. If your kid's short, he's going to be short. If your kid's in the middle, he'll be in the middle. But that's not because he did or didn't do strength training. Injuries, number 3. 11:48. Cool. So I'm running good time. A lot of kids deal with things like ankle injuries, knee soreness. Those are the 2 biggest things. A lot of lower leg injuries are common in basketball just across the board. You think of some of the NBA players over the years that have had this: Klay Thompson, ACL, Achilles rupture, Derrick Rose, Steph Curry with the ankles. Like, all these guys, and there's a bunch of guys now, hamstring injuries. Patellar injuries, which I think there was just one. Moses Moody, I think, had one, a patellar tear. So, like, injuries are a big thing. A lot of kids deal with knee soreness just because as they're growing up in the teenage years, that tends to become an issue. And there are certain ways to help reduce the pain that athletes feel. Part of it, you're dealing with also the pain tolerance of certain athletes. And another part of it is you're looking at what strength qualities do they possess. Sometimes knee soreness can be a result of several things. It could be poor quad strength. Your quadricep muscles on the front part of your upper leg just aren't strong enough. Hamstring strength is poor, which it is in a lot of people that don't focus on hamstrings. Your anterior tibialis, like the muscle in the front part of your shin. Like, you feel the bone, but if you kind of move to the side, you feel there's a meaty part in your lower leg towards the front. That's not strong enough, and that can also lead to things like shin pain that athletes tend to have, and also knee pain. A lot of times you can navigate seeing where the issues are if you start from the ground up, from the feet on the way up. We'll do certain things where we'll trigger point the feet. We'll take like a small little like reactive or just trigger point massage ball, and I'll have the kids roll on it on their feet while they're standing up. And they'll do some trigger point where we'll look for areas where if there's like a lot of tension. Well, they'll leave it there. We'll kind of squeeze and then release the toes as much as we can, and then open up, and then try to roll again and do some mobility work on the feet. And a lot of times they'll notice that foot now feels looser. And then sometimes, because their foot feels looser, it starts to release some of the tension from there on the way up. In some cases, that's the case. It could be your feet are just too tight. Your calf muscles, your anterior tibs, your quads, your hamstrings, your adductors, your IT bands, all these things. Like, there's different things that you can look at to say, okay, what is it? Maybe it's the muscle is just too tense. Maybe the muscle's weak, so it feels like it needs to like tense itself up. So then you kind of lose some of that range of motion. Or it could just be because it's not strong enough. So if your kid is dealing with things like knee soreness, shin pain, it, number one, probably is results of a lot of foot contacts on the ground, running, jumping, cutting. But that's also because something has to take up the stress. If you don't have the muscle strength to support the amount of load that the parts of the body are taking, then something has to take it up. And if the muscles aren't taking that up, then other parts of the body will. And typically it tends to be the shin, the knees, and the ankles. So if I'm able to create an athlete that has better lower leg strength, I'm able to create an athlete that can handle movements a lot better, a lot more frequently at a higher volume, and also hopefully reduce the chances of certain areas of the body experiencing more pain and soreness. And if I can do that, you can get athletes playing more free. If an athlete's worried about playing in a game because he knows his knee is about to start bothering him or his shin's going to start hurting, he won't play to his full capability. Mentally, he'll hold himself back. The brain will restrict itself to protect itself. And so if an athlete knows that, there's no pain here and they trust that because everything is strong enough to handle the load that's being put on it, then they can play more free and not playing just waiting for the pain to come up. And that's why I really feel like a lot of athletes that do feel pain and soreness, especially in their legs, should be doing strength training because it can help them in those areas. But when people only resort to, my kid just needs to rest, rest is a part of it. Rest isn't the answer. In some cases, it could be. But every time, the majority of the time when people say, hey, my kid can't go to practice today, they need to rest because their hamstring or their knee. And I'm like, okay, cool. But once we get back to practice and they're here for a week or two, you're going to send me another text message saying they have to rest again. At what point are you actually going to fix the issue? It's like if your car always has a flat tire and it's got a slow leak and you just go to the gas station and put air back in it, the tire is good for maybe a few days or maybe a week or so. At some point, you start to notice, you get that light on again, that your tire starts to decrease in pressure. And then you just go back to the gas station, put some more air in it. And then you do that again. And you just keep doing that. But you never actually fix the problem. That's what rest is in most cases for people. You're not fixing the issue. You're not allowing your kid to get stronger or gain mobility or stability in areas that they need. You're just ignoring the problem, waiting until the pain decreases, and then sending them back out there with the same flat tire, only for it to go ahead and deflate again and then have to go back and say, hey, it's time to rest. So that's where I feel like a lot of people just tend to miss the boat. And what tends to suffer is the time that the kid needs to be on the court, whether it's practice or gameplay. And it just becomes a cycle. So if your kid is dealing with things like injuries and pain and soreness and thinking that strength training is just going to make it worse, I can't tell you how wrong that is. Now, if a kid's dealing with certain things, like he has an injury, I probably wouldn't send him back out. Like there was a parent whose kid had an ankle injury, and then like the next day he had him doing like a rear elevated single leg squats at home. And I was just like, no, like, what are you doing? I get the idea. You're trying to get them to return to play. You're trying to help build the muscles around it. But if the structure itself right now is damaged, right? Like it's not working. Like this isn't some like movie where the guy gets his rib broken and his arm, his hands broken, and he comes back and like fights through. Like nothing's getting better from that. You do need time for rest and recovery to get back, either whether it's to reduce the swelling, to get it back to like, normal function. And then you can start to do things like applying stuff to where you can start to get it stronger. Until you start to ease up to return to play. But yeah, like just having somebody doing rear elevated single leg squats the day after spraining an ankle is not the best way to go, if I would say that. But again, once the athlete is ready to go, they can either handle the pain tolerance. You can put them through certain evaluations to where you understand they can do certain movements well. They can land. They can make certain lateral movements, jumps, hops, cuts, and you can test that to make sure that they're doing these things the right way. And you can assess it to where you feel like they're good to go. Then you can apply a load to it to where they can do something with a weight. But yeah, you want to make sure, number one, your kid is able to do these things first. And then once they're able to do it, now let's look at how do we get these things stronger. But yeah, that's just pretty much where I wanted to go. I just kind of want to talk about it because I had a conversation with somebody the other day and they were like, yeah, my kid, I don't know if I should put him in strength training. I feel like, he's just not ready yet. And I was like, yeah, well, your kid does strength training every day. Like your kid's been doing strength training since the day they were born. Your kid learning how to crawl was strength training for a baby. Your kid learning how to sit up was strength training for a baby. Your kid learning how to walk. When your kids put on that heavy backpack with all the books in their backpack to school every day back and forth, they're carrying a bunch of weight on their back and loading their spine. That's strength training, for better or for worse. You're worried about them getting injured lifting weights, but you're not worried about them playing a competitive sport where there is so much randomness involved. At any point in time, they can get injured. Like, to me, that's backwards. Right? Like, you can have them in a controlled environment where nobody's attacking them, nobody's tripping them, nobody's trying to push or foul them, no one's guarding them. They're lifting a weight in a controlled setting where you can evaluate their movement quality properly. That's dangerous to you. But putting them on a court, playing on 3 or 4 different teams, practicing all these times all the week, playing in all these games with limited time for recovery or rest is not a problem for you. And I would really like parents to think about that for a second. You think picking up a weight is dangerous, but you don't think your kid playing in like 6 games on a weekend is dangerous. I don't know, just something to think about, right? So, oh man, I was almost at 12 minutes. It's 20 minutes now. Anyways, yeah, that's just where I want to start this. This is going to lead to longer conversations as I get into it, but I kind of want to give my basic perspective, tell you what strength training is for youth basketball players, what are some of the common misconceptions I think people have, and also if you're dealing with certain pain, soreness, why you are and why strength training could be the answer, and if you haven't felt it yet, why you might, want to prep for that so your athlete doesn't have to by doing strength training now. Gain some consistency with it, build up, start doing it, but make sure you're doing it the right way. Like, if you're going to do this, make sure it's done properly. But anyways, that's it. Short episode right there, if you call it short. Coach White, SFBA Sports Performance. Yeah, if you have questions, hit me up. Website, www.sfba Sports Performance. Instagram, SFBA Sports Performance. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. I got to get out of here. I got practice in a minute. So I'm going to see y'all later. Peace.